There is a fascinating psychological phenomenon called price anchoring. Now, the way you feel about one number you first hear can really affect the way you think and feel about the second number that you hear. Let me give you an example. There was a study done in the United States many years ago where they asked a group of students to write down two numbers. The first number was the last two digits of their cell or mobile phone number. The second number they asked them to write down was how many African countries they thought made up the United Nations. Now, something very interesting happened when they went through this study, and it was something that was repeatable and something that happened more often than not, is that the first number that the student wrote down affected the second number. If the last two digits of their cell were low, they were more inclined to write down a lower number when it came to their estimation or guess of how many African countries made up the United Nations. And if the first number of the last two digits of their cell phone was high, there was an increased chance they'd write down a higher number when it came to the amount of African nations that made up the United Nations. Now, why is this? Well, the first number that you hear or you see has a direct correlation between the second number that you hear or see. Now, think about what I'm about to say to you now. The coat costs $600. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, that's a very expensive coat. It seems like it's not as valuable as I'd want it to be because of how high the price point is. But now listen to this. The coat used to cost $1,200. Now it costs $600. That first number and then the second number has changed the way you perceive the value of this product. You think you're getting a better deal when it comes to the price point because you've seen how much it was worth and now how much it costs. In fact, it's a pricing strategy that you fall for all the time. Some companies actually deliver products to the shops with the price already scratched out of what it originally was and what it now is to create that false perception of value. So how can we use this pricing strategy or this psychological phenomenon with our customers and prospects? Well, there's a couple of ways. The first one is by talking about the most expensive package, and it would go a little something like this. Well, some of our tier A customers, or what we deem to be enterprise customers, are paying north of $250,000 for our product or service. But for an organisation of your size, the price point would be $40,000. Now again, the first number they've heard is that $250,000, and that seems incredibly high. And then when you position that next to the 40,000, the 40,000 seems incredibly valuable because you've anchored them at that really high price point. And when it comes to the price point that you're offering, it seems really, really valuable. We can use another technique called false anchoring as a way of the customer hearing a really high number. And then when you bring the price point in, they think they're getting a great deal. And that would look like this. Well, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, looking at the value that we've shown you today, you're probably sitting there thinking, God, how many millions of dollars am I going to have to spend on a product like this? Well, the good news is it's not going to cost you millions of dollars. The price point for an organisation like yours and for the package that you need is actually $40,000. Now, the false anchoring there is millions and millions of dollars. So they hear that really high price point, and then when you position the 40K next to it, again, it seems really, really valuable. So just be mindful of this. The first number that you quote affects the way the customer thinks and feels about the second number that you put in place. So the option here is when we're putting options or choices or packages in front of customers, be mindful of those packages. Choose them strategically. So you're giving them the option of what this could cost at its absolute maximum and what they're getting that deems to be valuable. As always, guys, don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. If there's a video that you'd like to see on a sales technique or a sales discipline, or even a tip or a hint, just let me know in the comments and I can work on that next. Thank you so much, and as always, happy selling.